Let's go Falcons! There's a problem that the Falcons have been trying to solve for a long time, and today we're going to discuss it, and there's another elephant in the room that we need to detail. So without further ado, click the like button and come with me and I'll keep you well informed. We're diving into a huge opportunity for the Falcons in the 2025 NFL Draft, and trust me, this is something you're going to want to hear about. Alright, let's get started. For a long time, the Atlanta Falcons have struggled to solve a major weakness in their defense, the pass rush. It's a problem that has hung over the team for over a decade, and if you've been following the Falcons closely, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sure, there have been some glimmers of hope along the way, but nothing consistent. The last time we saw a real pass rush strength on this team was in 2016, when Vic Beasley, in just his second season, led the NFL with 15.5 sacks. That performance made a huge impact, and for a brief moment, we thought we might have found a long-term solution. But fast forward to today, and that didn't quite work out. In fact, Beasley was the last Falcons player to reach double digits in sacks, back in 2016. Now, heading into the 2025 NFL Draft, General Manager Terry Fontenot has a great opportunity to finally solve that problem once and for all. With the 17th overall pick on the line, the Falcons are in a prime position to add a game-changer to their defense, someone who could immediately impact the pass rush and set the tone for years to come. So who is that guy? Well, according to the latest mock draft from Fansided's Cody Williams, the Falcons should look to sign James Pierce Jr., the talented defensive end from the University of Tennessee. Let me tell you, Falcons fans, Pierce has been making waves in the college football world, and for good reason. This guy is an absolute beast when it comes to rushing the passer. At 6 feet 5 inches and 245 pounds, he has the size and speed to wreak havoc on opposing quarterbacks. Sure, some critics have pointed out his slight frame, but don't be fooled. Pierce is a lightning bolt on the edge, consistently blowing past defensive tackles with speed and power. His ability to get after the quarterback is undeniable. And hey, if he can add some mass without losing that explosiveness, he could be exactly the piece the Falcons' defense has been missing for years. Over the past 3 seasons, Pierce has been a consistent force for the Tennessee Volunteers. In 2023, he racked up 10 sacks, forced 2 fumbles, and even returned an interception 52 yards for a touchdown. Not too shabby, right? Then in 2024, he put up another 7.5 sacks and recovered a fumble. That's a combined 17.5 sacks in his last 26 games, which is pretty impressive. Pierce has shown that he can dominate at the collegiate level, and now it's time for him to take his talents to the NFL. But here's the thing, Falcons fans, we all know how inconsistent our pass rush has been over the years. Atlanta finished dead last in the NFL in sacks not once, but twice, in 2015 and 2021. That's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you look at the team's history with getting after the quarterback. In fact, dating back to 2005, the Falcons have only finished with 40 or more sacks in a season just once, and that came in 2023. This past season, the Falcons ranked 31st in the league with only 31 sacks, ahead of only the New England Patriots, who had 28. And let's not forget, a big chunk of those sacks, 21 out of 31, came in the final 6 games of the season. So, as you can see, there's still a lot of work to be done. James Pierce Jr. could be the key to finally turning that around. The Falcons need a guy who can create pressure consistently, who can disrupt opposing quarterbacks and help put this defense over the top. Pierce has the skills, the potential, and the upside to do just that. Pair him with some of the other defensive pieces the Falcons have, and suddenly, this defense could be a real force to be reckoned with. Now, I want to hear from you, Falcons fans. What do you think about James Pierce Jr. potentially becoming the next great pass rusher for Atlanta? Do you think he's the answer to our long-standing pass rush problems? Or do you have another player in mind who could help take this defense to the next level? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's talk about something that's been on everyone's minds, Kirk Cousins and his future with the Falcons. It's no secret that the Falcons have a lot of work to do this offseason. The team has already made some significant moves, including hiring Jeff Ulbrich as the new defensive coordinator, but the biggest decision still looms. What do the Falcons do with Kirk Cousins? After all, this could be the turning point for the franchise, and it's something that will affect the team's success in the years to come. Now, let's take a step back and look at where we are. Kirk Cousins was brought in as the veteran leader, the guy who could be the steady presence while the Falcons work to build a future with a new quarterback. But let's be honest, Cousins' performance this season just hasn't been up to par. He threw for 3,508 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. It's tough to ignore the fact that he led the league in interceptions at the time of his benching. Over a 4-game stretch, Cousins threw 8 interceptions and 0 touchdowns, leading to 4 straight losses. That's a significant dip in performance and leaves the Falcons in a tight spot. It's clear that the team is going to need to make a tough decision, and personally, I think the Falcons should force Kirk Cousins to accept a trade. Here's how I see it. The Falcons need to have a serious conversation with Cousins. Kirk, we appreciate everything you've done for us here, but we are moving forward with Michael Penix Jr. as our starting quarterback. You've been a consummate professional, and you can continue to support Penix as his backup, or we can work together to find a suitable trade partner where you can get one last shot at starting in the NFL. It's that simple. Either Cousins becomes the highest paid backup in the league, or he waives his no-trade clause and goes to a team where he can potentially start again. Now, I know this might sound harsh, but the Falcons are in a position where they need to start moving forward. Cousins isn't the answer for this team, and continuing down this road would only delay the team's potential. But let's also talk about the money involved here, because it's not a simple decision. If the Falcons were to release Cousins before the start of the 2025 league year, they would take on a hefty $65 million in dead money. If they wait until after June 1st, that dead money would be split over 2 seasons, $40 million in 2025 and $25 million in 2026. Trading him isn't much better, as the Falcons would still be responsible for $37.5 million in dead money, and his fully guaranteed $27.5 million base salary would be inherited by whichever team picks him up. The new team could force the Falcons to eat some of that salary, but it's still a tough pill to swallow financially. But here's where it gets interesting. The Falcons anticipated that this money would be allocated to the quarterback position when they signed Cousins and drafted Penix. The hope was that Cousins would play well for 2 seasons, and that's where things get tricky. Now, the salary cap space will still be allocated, but the tables have turned. It's a small risk for a potentially much bigger reward. Kirk Cousins has a $10 million roster bonus that becomes fully guaranteed on March 17th, and the Falcons have a window to get him. By doing so, they'd be betting that they can convince Cousins to waive his no-trade clause and accept a trade to another team, where he could potentially start for the final years of his career. And let's be real, the Falcons have other needs to focus on, too. The quarterback situation, for once, isn't as pressing as it has been in recent years, but there are plenty of other positions that need attention. The defense, in particular, is a mess, and while signing Jeff Ulbrich was a solid first step, the Falcons will need to make significant talent improvements if they want to become a competitive team again. There are several key free agents to consider, including Drew Dalman, Justin Simmons, and Matthew Judon. Dalman, the starting center, is a key priority for the Falcons. He is one of the best run-blocking centers in the NFL, and continuity along the offensive line is crucial to success. If the Falcons can keep Dalman on the roster, it will provide stability, but other teams are likely to target him, which will drive up his price tag. Expect his new contract to be in the $40 to $48 million range over 3 or 4 years. Then there's Justin Simmons, a veteran safety with a strong reputation as a ball catcher. Simmons has been solid for the Falcons and could be a valuable piece going forward. While the market for older safeties can be tough, Simmons is still an instinctive and reliable player, and bringing him back could be a smart move if the price is right. Finally, we have Matthew Judon, who was acquired via trade. But honestly, the results haven't been great. Judon was supposed to be a force on the edge, but his production has been disappointing. After a promising 2022 season, Judon's numbers have plummeted, and he hasn't lived up to expectations in 2024. Given his poor performance and declining play, the Falcons would be wise to avoid bringing him back unless they can sign him at a team-friendly price. So, Falcons fans, there's a lot riding on this offseason. The Kirk Cousins decision is just the beginning, but it's a critical one. What do you think the Falcons should do with Cousins? Should they keep him as a backup, or is it time to cut ties and move on? What about the other decisions on the horizon? Dalman, Simmons, and Judon? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates. Go Falcons!